there's some concern that the boat was not seaworthy. Was it?
I believed it was when we left the dock.
I told myself I was not going to cover this case, but at this point, you guys, we got to talk about it because there's just so much more that needs to be said. Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. Hope everybody's feeling good. It is a week after Thanksgiving here in the U.S. And you know, we're getting back into the swing of things. Just enough for the hustle and bustle for Christmas to be here in 3 weeks and for us to lose our minds all over again. Anyways, in today's video, we are going to be talking about a topic that has been very hot actually on Netflix lately. So me and my husband ended up having very different opinions about the outcome of this case that we're going to be talking about, which led me to do more research on this topic. And you guys, we got to talk about some of the things that I found. Before we get into it though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There's a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section of what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to a lot of things that you guys ask about and that I love, that I use, everything from makeup, skincare, hair care, workout stuff, this top, jewelry, all kind of stuff that y'all ask about or that I want to link over there. I do. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. So, okay, I recently watched the new Netflix documentary about the Carman family. When I Googled the case afterwards, I found out so much more information, and we're going to talk about it today. And I got to tell y'all too, before we get into it, make sure you stay to the end if you want to know my full opinion. A friend of mine actually was like really edging me, pushing me to watch this documentary, and I was watching other things. And so I finally watched it. And immediately after watching it with my husband, I recorded like a little video message to send her about what we thought. Because again, me and my husband ended up with two totally different opinions on how we felt like the outcome should have been. Or I can tell you that me and Jeremy are not seeing eye to eye. And I'll tell y'all that at the end. And I'll also show y'all that video I sent my friend at the end too. So if you want to see it, stay to the end. So before we get into it, I did need to let you guys know I'm not a professional. I don't know any of these people. I'm pulling all of my information from very public sources, news sources, documentaries that's already out there. Please go do your own research, form your own opinions. Just don't show hate to anybody, anywhere. So, okay, let me tell y'all about Nathan Carman and his family. Nathan Carman was born on January 21st of 1994 to his parents Linda and Clark in Connecticut. He was their only child and the pride and joy for sure. Linda and Clark ended up getting divorced when Nathan was just 10 years old, but they reportedly continued to live together in the same house for quite a while. As Nathan was growing up, his parents and his teachers began to notice that he had trouble making friends and trouble socializing. This led to Nathan being diagnosed with Asperger's. Because he struggled to make friends, Nathan enjoyed being outdoors, and according to his dad, his best friend was his horse, Cruz. Sadly, though, his horse Cruz passed away, and after that, this is when allegedly Nathan really had a big shift in his behavior, and this is again according to his father. Nathan ended up running away.
Police are asking you for your help. They're trying to find a missing teenager from Middletown.
Patrol officers have all been briefed to keep a lookout for Nathan Carman.
And when he was found, he ended up being admitted to a mental hospital. But once he got out, things seemed okay for a little bit. As he got older, his behavior really started shifting again, and he moved into a camper parked outside of his mother's house. Mind you, he was still in school at this point, not living in the home with his mother or his parents or his family. He was living in this little camper parked out front. And according to his mother, Nathan rarely came out of this camper, totally isolated himself in there, didn't come out to shower. He isolated himself so much in this camper that he was even using bottles to use the bathroom in. Because of this, Linda and Clark, Nathan's parents, sent Nathan to a camp in Utah that was supposed to help with his mental health. It was one of those camps that would come and take you in the middle of the night type of thing. You guys, we've heard about this. Paris Hilton, Bad Baby, Dr. Phil, these types of camps or rehabilitation places. According to Nathan's father, Nathan had a breakdown when he got home from this camp, and he ended up being placed in a psychiatric hold. After he was released, he moved back into the camper at his mom's house. So they went through all of this just for him to end up back in that camper in their front yard. However, some, like Nathan's grandfather, John, they didn't truly believe that there was anything wrong with Nathan. John was Nathan's mother's father, and he was a well-known, wealthy real estate developer who built nursing homes and healthcare facilities all across New England. John had 4 daughters, one of which was Nathan's mom, Linda. And according to them, they were very close with their father, but that closeness definitely came with a price. John supported his daughters financially. And when I say supported them, y'all, he didn't support them by paying their bills and giving them a little money. I mean, it was alleged that they were getting $25,000 a month. So he was really supporting his daughters comfortably. We'll say that. Well, with that, him giving them $25,000 a month, allegedly, he wanted them to do exactly what he said to do. Like, for instance, before Nathan was born, Linda ended up moving away to California to live her life for herself. But once she got married and was getting ready to start a family, her father John allegedly asked her to move back home. And according to her, her father John offered to buy her a Dunkin' Donuts franchise for her if she returned home. So she did. But once she moved back home, her father never got her this franchise that he promised her. And I have questions about that because, franchises are not easy to own. Sometimes you end up working a whole lot and making a little bit of money. Did he make a deal with her and say, if you don't do it, I'm just going to give you this? Nevertheless, she still wasn't hurting. It's not like she moved back and was struggling and you know what I mean? Anyways, in the Netflix documentary, the daughters also talked about how sometimes their father, John, would lay hands on them if they did not cooperate. They said that there was a lot of verbal arguments and a lot of threats to cut them off. However, they still remained very close. John paid for Nathan to go to really great schools. He was the one who bought Nathan his favorite horse, and he spent a lot of quality time with Nathan. At one point, Nathan was admitted to a mental hospital. And I really seen this as Linda, his mother, trying with Nathan. And John, her father, which was his grandfather, visited him every day. And John would tell his daughter Linda that there was absolutely nothing wrong with Nathan. He just needed something to focus on. If you know, you know. So John started basically mentoring his grandson, Nathan. He brought Nathan to work with him, and he even allowed him to attend meetings with him. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, a big tragedy struck the family. On the morning of December 20th of 2013, 87-year-old John was found deceased in his bed. He had been once in the chest and twice in the head. When the officers arrived, they noticed that nothing had been stolen from the home, and this was very suspicious given John's wealth. There was plenty of valuables and an emergency stash of cash that was not taken. This made the investigators suspicious that whoever did this to John had a personal motive to do so, not a financial one. So who could have done this? A lot of people wondered if maybe John had some ties to the mafia and maybe he was taken out by them. But in the Netflix documentary, John's daughters deny that John had any ties to the mafia. Suspicions soon turned towards Nathan, his grandson, when the investigators determined from ballistic testing that a .308 Sig Sauer rifle had been used from the foot of John's bed as he was sleeping. So he's an 87-year-old man sleeping in the bed. Somebody stood at the foot of the bed with this long-range weapon and hit him twice in the head and once in the chest. Coincidentally, Nathan, his grandson, the one who he said nothing was wrong with, had literally just purchased that same exact firearm just weeks before John's passing. And this wouldn't be so alarming to the investigators if Nathan hadn't been in an interview with them and told them he didn't own any guns. And he said, they asked him and he said, no, I don't own any. He said he only had an air rifle. So the investigators confronted Nathan about this, and Nathan said, oh yeah, I did buy it, but I lost it and I don't know where it is. Suspicious. The investigators also learned that Nathan was most likely the last person to see his grandfather the night before his passing. Nathan and John had actually went to dinner together that night. But this is where it gets really interesting because Nathan claimed that he absolutely had nothing to do with his grandfather's passing. He claimed that he left home that night about 3 a.m. in the morning to go on a fishing trip with his mother, Linda. This is something that they did together all the time. However, that morning, Nathan claimed that he got lost while driving to the marina that he chose for his mother to meet him at. So an hour of Nathan's time from 3 a.m. to 4:01 a.m. was basically unaccounted for. And on top of that, Nathan destroyed the GPS from the truck that he was driving that morning and got rid of his hard drive from his computer. Here's a clip from an interview that Nathan would later do where he talks about the GPS and the hard drive.
If they had asked me, Nathan, can we look at your hard drive? Or Nathan, can we have your GPS? At that time, when they were in my apartment, my answer would have been sure, gladly, you can take it. But they didn't.
But there was a neighbor of John's that did initially tell an officer that she heard a loud bang around 2 a.m., which would mean that Nathan couldn't have done it because he was determined to still be at home at that time. But in the Netflix documentary, they talk about how Nathan actually sent a letter to an estate attorney asking about if his grandfather and mother were to pass away in a specific order, how would he be able to inherit the money? He sent this letter allegedly just 1 week before his father's passing. So in layman's terms, if y'all did not watch the documentary, the grandson Nathan sends this letter and is like basically saying, who needs to pass first for me to get the most amount of money? Okay, so if grandpa owns the most money, grandpa got to go first, then all the money would go to mom, and then after his mom passes, then he would get all the money from grandpa down. It's the way I'm understanding it. However, Nathan was never charged in connection with his grandfather's passing. It was all circumstantial type of evidence. In fact, no one else has been arrested for this either, and it is still considered an unsolved case. One thing that wasn't included in the documentary was that it has since been reported that John had a 25-year-old girlfriend, or they call her a mistress in a lot of these articles at the time of his passing. John reportedly gave this girlfriend large amounts of cash and gifts, and she allegedly had a substance dealing boyfriend. However, I want to say that he was an 87-year-old man. He had been married for 59 years, okay? His wife had passed a few years before this from cancer, and he had a girlfriend, he had money. Morally, you make the judge of how you feel it is, but like logically, the fact that he had her, come on. It don't seem too shocking. What does seem shocking is the fact that she would end the life of her sugar daddy, for lack of a better word, and not even steal anything out of the house, not even take any of the money. So I actually don't think she had anything to do with it, me personally. However, Nathan received approximately $550,000 after his grandfather's passing, and then he moved to Vermont, where he remained pretty much largely unemployed and spent most of the money between 2014 in 2016. Regardless, John's passing put a definite strain on the family. In the documentary, there were clips of Nathan's mother and Nathan's father also saying that they did not believe that their son Nathan had anything to do with his grandfather's passing. However, Nathan's aunts, Linda's sisters, fully believe that he did this. And they believe that because he got that large amount of money after he passed away, he bought the house, he moved to Vermont, he didn't work, and he also bought a boat that he called the Chicken Pox. But this is not where this story ends. Actually, it's really only the beginning. Over the next 3 years, tensions continued to rise in the family. Nathan's own mother even filmed a video of herself saying that she removed Nathan from her will in regards to him inheriting her home because she did not believe that he would care for it the way she wanted it to be cared for after she passed away. But they still continued to do their fishing trips together, and it has been reported that Linda did not actually like to go fishing or to be out on the water like that, but she did it in order to be close with her son. And again, as a mother, as a boy mom, as a mom who goes fishing with her son, my son loves to fish, I just really feel for her at this point because she had this son who's had all these issues. She's tried to help him. She tried to have him admitted. At this point, he's an adult. At this point, he's got his own money that he got from the inheritance. He can do what he wants. And she just wants to have a relationship with him. So she's going out fishing with him when she doesn't even really want to, just to spend time with her son. So that brings us to September 17th of 2016. Nathan headed out to meet his mother 146 miles away at a marina in Rhode Island for a night fishing trip. If any of y'all ever been night fishing, it's very dark out there, okay? On the way, Nathan reportedly decided to get rid of his computer. Once he got there, Nathan started making some repairs to his boat. It seemed a little unusual and actually caught the eye of a fellow boater named Mike. Mike was alarmed because he saw Nathan using a drill to make 1 to 2 inch holes in the side of his boat. Mike says that Nathan used this drill to remove 3 screws at the top of the boat's trim tabs, which are used to raise that side of the boat to block spray that blows over it. And if you don't know, trim tabs also helps keep the boat stable. So the boat's not doing all like this. It helps. So why would you remove the trim tabs? You're getting ready to go out into the water, put all these holes in the boat. This guy, Mike, is watching this like, what is this young man doing? Mike was so alarmed, he actually went up to Nathan and asked him what he was doing. Mike says that Nathan told him he was removing the trim tabs because they weren't necessary. Mike disagreed and said that he warned Nathan that those modifications could cause the boat to sink. But he says that Nathan completely blew him off. And Mike would also say, as he was talking to Nathan, that he noticed that there was not any fishing gear in the boat, which he thought was really strange because Nathan told him that he was getting ready to go night fishing. Once Linda, Nathan's mom, got to the marina, she reportedly told Nathan that she was worried about this fishing trip because Nathan wanted to go further out than they had ever gone before. They typically went to Block Island, which was about 24 nautical miles away from the marina. But Nathan said that he wanted to go all the way out to Block Canyon, which meant that it would take all night to get there, and the waters were much deeper than what they were used to. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, this woman had to have loved and trusted her son. Do you know how dark it is out there on that water? There ain't no street lights. There's nothing but the little light on your boat, on his little chickenpox boat. And you're talking about driving all night with your son and he won't even come in the house. Nevertheless, nervous and all, Linda agreed to go, but she sent texts to people letting them know what the plan was. And the message said where they planned to go and that they'd be back by 9 a.m. And it said something to the effect of, call me at noon if you don't hear from me. Surveillance video shows Nathan and Linda headed out at around 11 p.m. And by the next day, time went by and no one had heard from Linda. One of the people that Linda had texted the day before was her best friend, Sharon. And Sharon really started to worry as the morning came. She didn't hear from her. As the afternoon passed and with no word from Linda. Eventually, Sharon reported Linda and Nathan missing. The Coast Guard immediately got involved and they started searching for them. Linda's phone data showed that she last used it around 12:45 a.m. on the south side of Block Island. So this is where the search began. Over 62 1,000 square nautical miles were searched, and Nathan and Linda were nowhere to be found. Police officers that got involved searched Nathan's truck back on land, and this is where they found a bucket of eels that would typically be used for bait. They wondered why Nathan would leave them, the bait, the bucket of eels, behind if they thought that they were going to go fishing, or they wondered maybe he accidentally forgot them. And they thought if he accidentally forgot them, why he didn't immediately come back to shore to get them, because you can't fish without bait, right? This was the start of one of the largest search operations in Coast Guard history. The search went on for 6 days, still with no sign of Linda, Nathan, or their boat. The search was officially called off on September 24th. This is when the family told the Coast Guard about their suspicions surrounding John, their father's passing. Valerie, Linda's sister, the one who was always sure that it was Nathan that ended John's life, outright told the Coast Guard that Nathan probably his mom, because she was just about to inherit John's mansion in New Hampshire, and they had a probate court settlement meeting scheduled for the very next week. Valerie told them if Linda was not able to inherit that home, next in line was her son, Nathan. With this new information, the investigation took a whole new turn. Investigators impounded Nathan's truck that was left behind and put a flag on any new activity on Linda's credit cards. Then they started digging into Nathan's life. This is where they found out that Nathan had recently purchased an anchor and several links of chain. They thought that these were strange purchases because neither the anchor or the chains were made for this type of boat that Nathan had. But then, 2 days after the search was called off, a Chinese cargo ship named Orient Lucky spotted a raft floating in the waves. And as they got closer, they realized that they were being flagged down by a single person. It was Nathan. After the cargo ship pulled up, Nathan swam over to it and was brought on by crew members. He was given food, water, shower, and fresh clothes to wear. The Coast Guard was immediately notified as well, and they were shocked to hear that Nathan was found alive and that he had drifted in the complete opposite direction of where the Coast Guard calculated he would have been based on the currents. He was 35 miles east of where he should have been. And according to Nathan, he said that him and his mother went out to Block Island and fished for about an hour, but around 1 a.m., Nathan took the boat out even further to Block Canyon. He said that the conditions were so good that they were not even wearing life jackets. But then Nathan said he suddenly heard a noise in the engine and he noticed that the boat was taking on water. Instead of sending out a distress call or activating his distress beacon, Nathan grabbed ditch bags that he just so happened to have had stocked and ready, and then he said that the boat suddenly dropped out from underneath him. He fell into the ocean, and Nathan said that when he surfaced up from the water, he saw the boat's life raft had automatically inflated and was within swimming distance of him. So he swam towards it. I mean, what a miracle. Can you imagine? This young man just drilled 4 holes in the boat, took the trim tabs off. The weather's perfect. He's driving around in the nighttime. The boat just drops out from underneath him. He's in the water. And when he comes up out of the water, there's the life raft completely inflated and filled with food and water and a life jacket for him. I mean, talk about a miracle. However, Nathan said that he did not see his mom. He said he tried to call out for her. He tried blowing a whistle, but she was nowhere to be found. When the Coast Guard asked Nathan how he survived on that life raft for all that time, he said it was because of those ditch bags that were well stocked. They had water packs and a tool to make salt water drinkable, plenty of food, and smoke flares that were never used. All of this stuff had been reportedly purchased just a few weeks before the incident. Now, something I thought was pretty interesting when I was watching the documentary, if you see this picture right here, the lifeboat as he's swimming away is deflating. Allegedly, it sank after he got out of it. And they found, because he had a life vest on when he swam over to the boat, he had a knife on him. So it is rumored that he had a knife on him and he stabbed it to sink that lifeboat so they could never look in it and see what all was in it, how long he had been in there or anything, because it sank. According to a doctor on the cargo ship that evaluated Nathan right after he had been rescued, He said that Nathan did not seem disoriented or dehydrated, and he didn't seem to be sunburnt at all. He also thought it was strange that Nathan was able to swim to the cargo ship and get on it seemingly with ease. And listen, when I was watching this is something me and my husband were going round and round about, because I was like, there's no way he would have been able to do that. And my husband was like, no, when your adrenaline comes in, Y'all ever had sea legs? I mean, you ever been on a cruise or anything? Like, you will never convince me that that man or anybody was on that life raft doing like this constantly for 7 days. Like this, constantly, 7 days. And your whole equilibrium, or whatever you call it, is out of whack on a little life raft. You're not on a big ship that gives you some buffer, a little life raft. And then he just swam a straight line, walked up the stairs, and had no problems. Nothing. He was just totally normal.
I can tell you that me and Jeremy are not seeing eye to eye. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. We got 20 minutes left. And just the lifeboat thing, I'm having an issue with this. I do not believe that if you're floating like this and doing this for 7 days, that you can just get up and walk, because your whole equilibrium balance is off. Jeremy thinks you could.
For 7 days, yeah, I think you could.
So
If it was much more longer than that, maybe not. Maybe you'd be fatigued, but 7 days with food and water.
Not even needed to catch his bearings once he got on the boat. I need to lay down. The room is spinning. Nothing. Seems weird to me. Now, here is a clip of the statement that Nathan gave the media when he first got home after being rescued.
I would just like to thank the public for their prayers and for their concern for both my mother and for myself. Emotionally, I've been through a huge amount, and my request is just to be allowed to mourn naturally.
So, of course, once again, here comes a new investigation into yet another passing that Nathan may have been responsible for. Now, at this point, Nathan was looking at a multi-million-dollar inheritance. Very big deal. Nathan attended his mother's memorial and spoke to the media afterward.
The whole family was invited. I'm glad that many of my mom's friends chose to attend. And I think the service was a good time for us to come together and support one another.
Are you sad your aunts didn't show up?
I wish very much that my whole family could have come together to pray for my mom. But I made sure that they were invited and that they had an opportunity to come.
Have police told you anything about the status of the investigation in Rhode Island?
I wish desperately that my mom was rescued. I hope that she will be found. And as difficult as this is, I'm glad that family and friends had a chance, and that friends came together to remember my mom, to support each other in this very difficult time.
And now tell us about your relationship with her?
Now I'm going to drive off.
And what about your grandfather?
I need to close my door.
Okay. Sorry, Nathan. Take care of yourself.
Nathan was doing a little press tour at this point because he did some sit-down interviews. Here's a clip of him talking about the boat sinking.
He'd always been kind of reluctant about safety, and I guess she had good reason to be. I thought that I was going to diagnose the problem and that we were going to go back to shore. I didn't know if she had been dragged down with the ship, because neither of us had been wearing life vests.
There's some concern that the boat was not seaworthy. Was it?
I believed it was when we left the dock. I would not have left the dock. I would not have taken my mom out fishing with me had I not believed the boat was seaworthy.
Nathan exhibited some pretty strange behavior when he was asked questions that he did not want to answer.
Another thing that's happened since we last got together, police searched your mom's home.
Yeah,
Did you know anything about that?
We're done for this evening, period. We're done.
We're
here.
not trying to make you uncomfortable. We're trying to give you an opportunity to answer some of these allegations.
We're done here this evening.
But 20 minutes later, Nathan sat back down to answer more questions.
Most people would think I'm going to die out here.
And the way that I handled that was to focus on what I had to do. in order to survive.
But then things took a turn. 2 weeks after the incident, Nathan filed an $85,000 insurance claim for his boat, the one that sunk, that he said sunk, right up from underneath him. The insurance company denied his claim on the grounds that they believe that Nathan intentionally sunk his boat. And if you don't know, insurance companies do not want to pay. I have heard horror stories about life insurance. People literally paying life insurance their whole life. And when it's time, that $1 million payment or whatever it is, they're looking for any breach of contract so they don't have to pay that money out. So when he went and tried to get that $85,000, the insurance said, we're not giving you $85,000. Start an investigation because they got these people that work for them. And this is when they cited the fact that Nathan made several faulty repairs that they believe likely caused the boat to sink, like maybe taking the trim tabs off and going offshore, or maybe like drilling 4 holes in your boat and sticking some putty in there. The insurance company also hired an oceanographer that ended up determining that Nathan's life raft should have drifted west, but it ended up drifting east. Many have said without Nathan filing this insurance claim, local investigators would have never had enough evidence to make an arrest. But then, on May 10th of 2022, Nathan was indicted for the murder of his mother, Linda, as well as for fraud. He ended up going into court and he pled not guilty. Before Nathan's case could go to trial, though, 28-year-old Nathan's body was found in his jail cell on June 15th of 2023. He had ended it all. His trial was scheduled to start October of that year, 2023, and the charges against him were dropped. And like I said before, John's is still considered unsolved. Now let's talk about some afterthoughts and some opinions here. Allegedly, as Linda's heir, okay, so Nathan was next in line. Again, remember he filled out that paperwork. His grandpa had all the mega millions. I think it was 42 million, 49 million. I think it was $42 million, okay? Split between the sisters. His mother is gone. He was next in line to get it. He was going to receive, I think at least $7 million of John's fortune at the time of Linda's passing. But according to the Associated Press, he never did. So his mom passed and he was supposed to get that money. Remember, the sister said that they were going to probate the very next week after she went missing. Well, Linda's sisters were fighting to not give him that money in probate court. So he didn't have any money, allegedly, during this time. So when his grandfather passed away, he got that $550,000 and it was alleged that he blew through that. 3 years later, his mom mysteriously passed away on the boat with him, right? And so he was hoping the very next week, when they went to probate court to split that money up, he was going to get that money, but he was left without it. And so now he's sitting in jail with no family really supporting him, nobody paying any lawyer's fees or nothing. He thought he was going to get that money from his grandpa the following week if his mother was out of the way. They held it up in probate court because they're like, we'll let it sit there before we give it to him. You know, like if you have a family member or something that passes away and the kids inherit the house. Well, if they don't ever sell the house just sits there. They don't split the money. But if they sell the house, then the kids have to split. So they just kept everything so he couldn't get anything. And then allegedly, that's why he went and filed to get the insurance claim for the $85,000, which started off the investigation, which ended up getting him arrested. Now, before we go into any further with some other things that I found snooping around, and again, all of this is alleged, I was going to show y'all the video that I sent my friend after we watched the documentary because she kept saying, you got to watch it, you got to watch it, you got to watch it. And we finally watched it. And the whole time, me and my husband are going back and forth. And if you watch the documentary, in the beginning, me and Jeremy are pretty aggravated with the interrogators because they obviously had no knowledge on how to talk to somebody or react to somebody or understand somebody that's diagnosed with autism or Asperger's, because they kept saying how Nathan showed no emotion. And me and Jeremy are kind of looking at it like, okay, this seems like maybe a normal response from somebody that's on this end of the spectrum that, you know, and so we were already in the very beginning, me and Jeremy, kind of on Nathan's side. But by the end of the documentary, me and Jeremy had differences of opinion. So check this out.
I think he killed her. I think he killed her and got her off that boat. in one area and then he floated even farther.
Well, that would make sense then, because their theory is the holes that he drilled in the back of the boat is what sank it. So, how would that work?
I don't know.
I think that.
He put a plug in there and pulled him out when he was ready. Because he wouldn't have got too far with them holes in his boat. We still got 20 minutes, but yeah. Well, we just finished it, and what I can tell you is that me and Jeremy... Baby!
I was standing over here looking through this window for 15 minutes, waiting for you to look up.
Waiting for me to scare me?
And you not one time looked up.
Sorry. Well, what I can tell you is we have differences of opinions. I think he did it.
I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm saying there's not enough evidence
He wouldn't be able to convict.
to convict.
I think he did it, and I think that he killed himself because he was not going to be controlled. He wasn't going to be controlled by his grandpa. He wasn't going to be controlled by his mom. And once he realized he had a good chance of losing, he wasn't going to be controlled by the prison system either, so he took himself out. What do you think? Why do you think he ended his life?
I think that prison, jail, I think it was too overwhelming for sensories, and he's not been in an environment where he's probably getting groped and begged for, whatever. I think he just didn't see a way out.
Also, here is a video from somebody on TikTok who said that she went to school with Nathan, and this is what she said her experience was.
Story time you guys all asked for. This is my firsthand experience with Nathan Carman, the subject of Netflix's newest documentary, The Carman Family. I don't actually know if I can say that last word on TikTok, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. So to start, I went to high school with him, so I knew of him for 4 years. In the last 2 years, I did have a class with him, and I did have to do a group project with him. So first impressions of the first couple years, I did not interact with him directly, but I did know of him. We kind of all did, because he was very abrupt in school. He would run down the hallways. Students would kind of like jump back and like make space for him because he was just so big and so abrupt in his movement and his steps and everything like that. He wore every day like army green and big boots that were very loud. So when he came down the hallway, you knew he was there basically. And he was very identifiable by what he wore daily, which is very common for the diagnosis he had. I do also want to say that I might reference some things that are common with that diagnosis, but I'm not grouping everyone with that diagnosis with him. But just want to say that. Everybody kind of just like steered clear of him, honestly. No one really interacted with him. He didn't have any friends as far as I knew. He was very much a loner, and kids kind of just like gave him space because they did not want to be near him. He was very abrupt, very much interrupting the teacher, the students, and it was very bothersome, and he would leave the class frequently, storm out, like was very angry all the time. Aside from that, he kind of treated everybody like they were stupid. He was very, very smart. Like he had a high level of intelligence, but the way he treated his peers and even the teacher was him thinking he was above everybody due to his intelligence, and everybody was not only less intelligent, he treated them like they were so beneath him that they didn't even deserve basic respect.
Now, I don't know how true this is because I don't know these people, and anybody could have wrote this, but I did find another person who said that they knew him. They knew Nathan because he would come into the pizza shop where they worked. And I'll pop him up here. And the reason why I've included this one is because this is interesting. This person says that they are also on the spectrum, says that they are considered weird and their friends are considered weird. And so they very much understand people who don't maybe socially interact like the masses or show emotion like the masses. And even him, as somebody on the spectrum, was very startled by Nathan's demeanor. And he paints a different picture of Nathan as being very angry and entitled. I definitely believe he was entitled. I mean, for sure. But in some of the interviews that I saw of Nathan, you just can't help but to feel sorry for him in a way. But then I remember that like he had major mental issues. And I'm not talking about autism or Asperger's, although those diagnoses bring a slew of obstacles for people to go through life with regardless. But aside from that, he had major issues that his mom wanted to send him to a teen camp at night, or that he isolated, or that he possibly murdered his grandfather and then his mother. And I guess that brings me to what my opinion is. If you can't tell already, I believe he did it. I believe that he ended the life of his grandfather as well as his mother. And that's scary. It's terrifying. He had everything. And I think, just like I said in that video that I sent to my friend where I was talking in front of my husband, he was not going to be controlled. His mama was controlled by her dad. He probably sat around and listened to his mom complain about that. Oh, my dad controls me. And he figured out a way that he could get the money without being controlled. And once he got arrested and realized that he had no more control, he ended it. That's what I think. What do y'all think? Is there anybody out there that thinks that he didn't do it? That maybe it was the mafia and maybe the boat just went down and he just happened to get in the lifeboat like that and just happened to sink the lifeboat before he got up, and all these weird things just happened to have blown through $550,000 in 2 years? Let me know what you think down below. Other than that, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.